welcome back. We are back on the Trans Am. We're going to be working on the fuel system today. I've already done the fuel tank and in-tank pump, and there's videos on that if you want to go back and watch those in the playlists. And check out the other playlists that we have. We've got tons of videos out there in different subjects. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. All right, we're going to get back on this thing. We're getting so close to finishing this thing up. Just lots of little loose ends to tie up, and the fuel system's one of them. We need to go ahead and try to get these lines run all the way up to the fuel rail. So let's get this thing up in the air and get started. Project on hold so long you forgot what you were doing in the first place. That's what's going on here. After I cleaned up the majority of the spider webs, cobwebs, or whatever you want to call them, there's still a lot under this car, but now I can kind of function a little bit. We're running this fuel system, of course, like I said before. You can check this out in the previous videos and the playlist for this car. We've got a Tank Inc. in-tank fuel injection tank. I've got the inlet, the outgoing fuel line going. We're running a Corvette style regulator, and I've been just trying to strategically place this thing where it's going to be out of the way and not get hit by anything. And the straight fittings that came with this kit are not going to work for me. So I got these, I think these are 45s, I believe. They're gonna give us a little bit better angle there, and I've got 3 of them. Yeah, 45s, -6 45s. These are push locks with this black push lock rubber hose. I've never ran this stuff before, but people swear by it. So especially with what we're doing, we're not doing a full out race operation or anything with this car. This is just a badass hot rod street car, and he wants it to be dependable. So, you know, going with, we did upgrade the fuel pump from what the came with the tank. We ended up putting a better fuel pump in it. You can check that back out on the playlist as well. So I'm just kind of mapping. I know the lighting isn't good under here. That's my return right there, I believe. There's my wires to the pump. I have not plumbed those yet. I apologize, you can't see. I need to set some lights up under here. And this is my vent. This will go to a vent. He wants to run. I'll get that in a minute. There we go. That's just a vent. So he wants to run the Trans Am dual tailpipes. So, you know, it's got 2 tips that come out on each side. I believe that's what he's shooting for. Cobweb City. I took the leaf blower to this thing and wiped stuff down. It's still got cobwebs everywhere. So I can't remember how that style runs. I think the muffler goes like right here. I can't remember, but so I'm trying to, we had the fuel pump in the old setup. We had a fuel pump mounted right here in the floor. In the floor pan, and it was in the way when he took it to the muffler shop, they said. So we're trying to stay out of this area so they can remount. I believe these are the mounts for the original muffler. So we gotta put the vent up high somewhere, probably up in that area somewhere. Yeah, freaking cobwebs, man. These pole barns, you forget about keeping spiders and dust out of these pole barns. They're just not sealed up well. If I ever get the funds to rebuild this barn, it will be it'll be weather tight, it'll be wrapped, insulated. But anyway, so I'm gonna change my fittings out. I have not mounted this thing, it's just sitting there. I really wanted to put it right here, but I think that's gonna be too close to the muffler if they're gonna put a muffler right here. So I think we're gonna leave it right there. I just need to get around that brake line to put a screw in that. And I mean, it pretty much stays in place right there without it, but it's got a hole to secure it, so we're going to. It's just going to be kind of a pain in the butt with a brake line there. So I'll pop the clip out there and I'll move the brake line out of the way. So when you change the filter, you'll probably have to do that. Just pop this clip out so you can get the brake line freed up. Take this clamp off right here. You can move that that joker around some so you can get that out of there. So I think what we'll do is put a 45 like that, 2 of them, so we'll be able to hug this floor pan. And if we have to sleeve this fuel line, we can. We've got some, and you know, some heat sleeving just to keep the exhaust temperature off of it. If it was my car, I would not be running that exhaust like that, but it's going to restrict this motor big time. So I'm going to suggest you put some cutouts in it. They did Engine Masters did a dyno test on exhaust on I think it was 3.5-inch exhaust with cutouts, and it picked up quite a bit of power by not running through a muffler. And if you start doing that stock style muffler stuff, it's like putting your hand over your mouth when you're trying to run a marathon. So we all know how that is with the pandemic mask crap we just went through. Not fun to breathe through those things when you're doing strenuous activities with a mask on. Same thing with a muffler, but with a cutout, you can have, you know, you can put some cutouts like right here and here, where they just dump right here. And they make the, you know, I've never played with electrical ones, but that would be kind of neat just to be able to flip a switch if they work good. I don't have any personal experience with them, and you really want to get down on it, you can open that thing up. When you're gonna cruise around, you can have it quiet through that muffler system. All right, that's a project for the muffler shop, because I'm not getting into that. I'm not running the exhaust on this car. He's gonna have to have a custom exhaust shop do that. I don't do that. So get back to plumbing this thing. I'm gonna change these fittings and mount this pump. Take this out right here. I had to turn my tunes off every time I turn this camera on. So instead of popping that clip off, because it'd be easier just to pull that out, I thought this thing was welded to the frame. It's not. It's got a bolt, so you just pull it out of the way. So when you're changing this regulator filter, it's easy breezy. It'll be easy breezy. So Robert, if you ever have to change this filter, there you go, buddy. It's gonna be easy. I'll show you in just a second. Man, I really could use some new drill bits. Man, I could use some new tools. My tools are so old. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but man, my drill bits are wore out. I need some good metal bits. Okay, so it'll go something like that. That way my fuel line will be directed that way, and the other ones will be directed up with 45s like that. out of the road. Won't be below the frame rail. That's what I mean by that. And it shouldn't be in the way of the exhaust. It is. I mean, it's not the end of the world to have to move stuff around, but when you're not building a race car and you're trying to build a street car, things get a little more difficult on placement. You got all these wants and needs. All right, that's our innie and that's our outie. So I need to trim this line. I'll trim it just a touch long so it sticks up onto that body line like so. And like I said, I may end up sliding a heat shield over these lines, but these are loose still, by the way. I have not tightened them because I still got to finish making them. All right. So we'll probably run them something about like that. I have to run that out up through there and around to up here for the return. It's basically what it's doing. If you're not familiar with that kind of fuel pressure regulator slash fuel filter, that's what comes on a Corvette. The engine is basically the same thing out of it is LS3 out of a Corvette or Camaro. So they run that kind of fuel line, so you don't have to run two fuel lines, or that kind of regulator, so you don't have to run two fuel lines all the way to the engine and back. So basically, you just run one line to that regulator. What it doesn't need, it pushes back in the tank, and that should keep it from overheating the fuel system. You know, back in the old school days, we would run deadhead systems. I tried to run a deadhead system on this car when we first put the Pontiac 400 together for him years ago, and it did not like it. Boy, it kept overheating the fuel system and vapor locking the carburetor and stuff. It was a nightmare. We tried everything and ended up having to run a return system on it. Now, I had a 73 Camaro, but I had that small block 350 over there that's going to get redone for the El Camino. I ran a deadhead on it with a nitrous kit, like a 250 shot. I drove the car every day. It was the only car I had at the time that ran. And I raced it just about every Friday night. We had a test and tune session every Friday night at our local drag strip back then at Dallas, Southeastern Dragway, Dallas, Georgia. And I'd go run through 2 bottles of nitrous on a Friday night and just make hit after hit after hit, drive it in traffic all summer long, all winter long. Never had a problem with that fuel system. It basically, I think it had like a Mallory fuel pump on it or something. It wasn't a Holly, but it was probably equivalent to like a Holly blue pump. And it ran the engine in a 250 shot, which is probably about a 400 horsepower small block, and 250 plus pills in it. So we're flowing everything it would flow. But I never had it overheat and vapor lock. And we ran the same setup on this car, and it did not like it. I don't know why, but it just didn't. So, all right, let me make these lines up, and then we'll start running and routing to the front. All right, so we've got our filter regulator mounted. I got my hose marked for my inlet. And I'll cut a section out of this and run my return. So you probably can't see that, but I made a mark on that hose with a Sharpie where I can see it. It's probably not going to pick up in the camera angle. Run it. There. Okay. So now that the hose is cut, I removed that fitting just to get it out of the way for a minute. We're going to push it down all the way so it bottoms out. All right, I'll have to tighten that up. Whoops. So So there it is. And then we're going to run a return back up and over and to right here. So we'll have to push one on there and then run it over and route it around. So I got the push lock on, the return. That's our vent, of course. We talked about that earlier in the video. Just secured it there, and it's running up over that bracket. And then I'll cut it to size and put that fitting on. I'll tighten those two fittings up. We're done back here except for wiring the pump up and putting the little filter thing that comes with this vent. Which I think I'm going to stick it up there. Like I said before, just keep it high and dry. And then we'll start running our line forward. Alright, just got done marking that one. Now if I can find my mark. It's hard to see that black Sharpie on the black hose here, but alright, let's see, let's flip this thing around. Alright, push lock. Ugh. That is it. See the barbs up in the hose. It's good. Just need to tighten that stuff up. I think that looks pretty good. What do you guys think? Tighten these fittings up, and we'll start our line going forward. Tighten it up. Yeah. It's just quick connects. So you just pinch these tabs at the bottom, and it releases like that. So when you need to go change it, that's all you got to do. Give it a little tug, make sure it's good. It's good. I'll take this one. I don't have to worry about marring. Tighten it up. And it's the same. It's a quick connect too, but you got to have the little special fuel quick connect tool to push in there. You can buy it at any auto parts store. Push the line on and start running it to the front. Should still have plenty of line. And along the way, we'll put some fasteners, some hangers, whatever you want to call them, to hold our line nice and pretty. Alright, so I've routed it along where the factory brake line goes. I haven't put any hold downs on it yet. Let's right along the factory routing. And I went up through there, and you can see that's where the original fuel line went, I believe, right there. So it's gone up through, and we'll lower the car down. I think it's good and clean. Good clean job. All right, we got it all secured at the bottom. Now we're going to, we fished our fuel line up, which we've got plenty of line here. So I think we're just gonna mark it off like so, and we'll have our fuel line running up just like that. And then we've got to probably start working on the brakes, getting all this brake system hooked up. We've got to get the Hydro Boost kit plumbed, and I still have to cut the rod to size and adjust the brake pedal rod that goes from the back of the booster to the pedal inside the car. I've been kind of dreading that. I need to get that situated, and then we'll start wiring it, really. And then, I mean, here in a few minutes we'll be done with this fuel system, except for wiring. The plumbing side's done. The air conditioning plumbing is done. Need to put the dipstick back in it, and then it's wiring. It's wiring and then just buttoning stuff up. I'll be ready to get this thing to the exhaust shop hopefully next week. I hope, man. Hopefully the wiring doesn't take me forever, but we do have to relocate the battery to the trunk. If you hadn't checked out our playlist, hey, check out our playlist. We've got tons of them on this car. We've got tons of playlists on other topics, tons of auto repair, drag racing, barbecue cooking, all kinds of stuff. Hit that like, subscribe if you don't mind. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of these videos. Good or bad, it doesn't matter. Let me know. All right, let's move on. I'll mark my line, cut it, and we'll say move on to the next micro project on this thing. All right, there you have it. Fuel system is plumbed. All right, sweet. We can move on to the next step in our project and our quest of completing this LS swap. It's more than just LS swap. What do you want? Yeah. All right, it's more than just LS swap. We did bell housing on the Turbo 350. You know, we put an Ultra Bell on it. We retrofitted this thing with vintage air kit. We've done quite a lot to this car. Converted to Hydro Boost, LS3 with the good brackets. It's just it's been a big project, but hopefully we'll be doing burnout soon. Come back and check us out in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.